In this video, I'll share with you a requested tutorial on how to cut this dress with flounce. So to start, I'll be cutting this in a miniature size and I'll be cutting my pattern on fold. Now, I won't be using the actual measurement of my body. I'll just go ahead to use any measurements to illustrate. So for this pattern, you need your shoulder to waist. So let's take my shoulder to waist to be 6 inches. And where my pattern ends as my waistline. So for this pattern, you need to get your shoulder to full blouse length. Then you will now minus your shoulder to waistline from it. Say the full length of your blouse is 27 inches and your shoulder to waist is 17. So what you're going to do is to minus that 17 from 27 inches and you get the lower part. So next, mark your shoulder and add ½ inch to it because this dress has a sleeve, and come down by 1 inch for your shoulder slope. Next, I'm going to mark a basic neckline of 3 inches and by 1 inch. So for the back neckline, use 3 by 1 inch. So just all this measurement I'm using is not the actual measurement on this pattern paper. Cutting this on a miniature size, so I'm just trying to reduce the size of the original measurement to fit into this pattern. Now, after marking your neckline of 3 by 1 inch, from your neckline, slant it down to your shoulder slope this way. Next, you're going to find your chest line, which is your bust circumference divided by 6 plus 1.5 inches, and I will draw out a straight line. So for this pattern, I'm supposed to add a zipper at the back. Forgot to do, and I'll be adding it later. So go ahead to mark your shoulder divided by 2. Now from this point, I'm going to connect it back to my chest line where I have my shoulder plus ½ inch. Now I'll divide my armhole into 2 equal parts and come out by ½ inch. Now from this part, I'm going to mark my bust circumference divided by 4. So after marking this, you're going to connect from the armhole to the ½ inch you have and to the upper part of your pattern this way. Now after you're done connecting this, the next step you're going to take is to go ahead to mark your dart. So just like I said, I'm supposed to have about 1.5 to 2 inches, which will serve as a zipper allowance. So I forgot to do that while I was marking this. For that measurement, you start it after your zipper line, which you mark your nipple to nipple divided by 2 and draw a straight line. Now you go ahead and mark a basic intake of ½ inch on both sides of this pattern. Come down by 1 inch from the bust, and you're going to go ahead to connect this down. After connecting, connect on the other side. Now I'm going to go ahead to insert my body measurement. I'm going to mark my bust circumference divided by 4 at the bust and then add my sewing allowance. After that, mark your waist circumference divided by 4 and add your sewing allowance. So for this pattern, you can decide to use a bust dart. I didn't really make use of a bust dart for this pattern. If you're making use of a bust dart, you're going to measure your shoulder to waist at the back pattern. The shoulder to waist in front and the shoulder to waist at the back is slightly different from that of the front. The front is a bit longer than that of the short. This is because of the presence of the bust at the front pattern. So I'll just go ahead to cut this out. We are done cutting for the back. So now I'll also go ahead to add a line to indicate that there's a zipper at the back. So I actually forgot while I was cutting this, right? So please, when you're cutting yours, go ahead to add your zipper at the back of this dress. So now let's go ahead to cut the front. So I marked the shoulder to bust, shoulder to under bust and waistline. Now I'll go ahead to rule out a straight line at those points. So after marking this, we are now going to go ahead to transfer all our measurement just like I did. I'm going to mark my shoulder divided by 2 plus ½ This is how we also drafted the back pattern first. Now come down by 1 inch from there. Mark your basic neckline of 3 inches by 3 for the front pattern. For the back, we used 3 by 1 inch. Now go ahead to place your ruler and you're going to connect. Now after you're done connecting, what you're going to do next is to connect from your neckline and you're going to connect it all the way to your shoulder slope, right? Now after you're done connecting that, you're going to go ahead to find your chest line, which is your bust circumference divided by 6 plus 1.5 inches. Now I'll go ahead to mark back my shoulder divided by 2 plus half inch because this dress has a sleeve. So I'll go ahead to divide my armhole into 2 and come out by half inch. Here I'll mark my bust circumference divided by 4. Then I'll connect from there all the way to the lower part of the armhole. Now after I'm done connecting this, the next step I'm going to take is to insert my dart. I'll start marking my nipple to nipple divided by 2, and I'm going to go ahead to connect this. Now I went ahead to divide my shoulder into 2, but I ended up cleaning it because I forgot that this pattern was actually a princess dart bustier. So here mark 1 inch in front if you're on the plus size, but if you're slim use half inch. By the side, if you're slim use 1.5 inches, then if you're on the plus size use 2 inches on this side. Now I'll connect this part and also connect at this part. Now I'm going to place my curved rule and connect to the under bust and also connect at the other side. So after I'm done connecting at this other side, I'm going to go ahead to mark the midpoint of my armhole, and I'm going to go ahead to connect it all the way to the bust area of my pattern this way. So after I'm done connecting, I'm going to go ahead to clean off this line I have on top. But before doing that, mark half inch on both sides and blend this out. Blend the other part of this to the dart. So I marked half inch on both sides. So this half inch on both sides, you're going to extend it down out. So half inch will give you 1 inch, and then replace it at this part of your armhole and reconnect. Now after I'm done reconnecting, this is what I have. I'll mark my bust circumference divided by 4, replace this that I have here at the armhole, and add my sewing allowance. Here I'll mark my under bust circumference divided by 4, replace the dart and add my sewing allowance. Mark my waist circumference divided by 4, measure the dart intake, replace and add my sewing allowance. Now I'll just go ahead to place my ruler and I'm going to connect. So after connecting this, I'll go ahead to cut this out. So you can just go ahead and cut out your pattern if you don't want to go through the stress of just tracing what you have here on the other side of your pattern. I'm just doing this because it's a tutorial and I want you to see what it will look like on the other side. So after transferring my measurements on the other side, what I'm going to do is just to extend my neckline. So the neckline we have here is slightly a V, so I will come down by additional half inch or 1 inch from this neckline. So if you're not okay with the neckline, you can go ahead to readjust. There's always room for readjustment before going ahead to cut this on your pattern. So I'm just going to go ahead to cut it out as one piece so that what is on this side will also be on the other side. So I'll just go ahead and I will cut this out. If you have any question, please go ahead to also ask any question. I don't want pull no trigger. I just want after I'm done cutting out, so let's say you're joining your pattern. So I'm just going to go ahead to add like a zipper to this dress because I said that earlier that I forgot to add a zipper allowance to the back. So for your zipper allowance, you can add an addition of 1.5 to 2 inches in front of your pattern. Now at the lower part of your waistline, mark half inch and take this up. So sorry my camera cut that part. I didn't realize that I wasn't recording that part, so I'll just go ahead to cut it open. Now let's say that I am joining my pattern, right? So this is what I have and I'll use a tape to hold it together. So after this, what you need is the round measurement of the neckline. Go ahead to take it, and whatever you have, you're going to add extra inches to it, because if you notice, the flounce on the neckline is not the exact measurement. There are little pleats there. So I'm just going to fold this again so that I will locate the midpoint of my pattern paper. You can do that to the fabric you're cutting, using to cut it to find the midpoint of your flounce, right? To rule a line there. So for the size of your flounce, you're going to actually determine the measurement you're using. So let me just use 1 inch for instance. Now just know that you're cutting 2 flounce. After cutting the first one, you cut the second one. So I'll mark that 1 inch round, then start it again on another line. Go ahead to connect this and then connect to this other line and connect to this point. So after connecting, I'll just go ahead to connect again, go ahead to also connect here, and go ahead to connect to this point. Now I'll just go ahead to connect this all the way around my pattern this way to this other side. Now I'll be taking that 1 inch measurement all the way around. So let's say the measurement of your first flounce is 5 inches and the other one is about 8 inches. So you're going to follow this method. You're going to cut out the first flounce, cut out the second flounce, and you're going to turn it up with your lining, then place it on the neckline to attach. So you can take your measurements by placing this tape around it. So this is just an illustration. I don't really need much to just explain this part. So what I'll do is I'll just go ahead to cut out what I have already. So after I'm done cutting out, this is what I have. Now, so at one side, you're going to trim it off, reduce the size, then go ahead to turn it with the lining. So also note that you'll be cutting the lining of your flounce the same way you cut out your flounce. Then pin it from the neckline from the front to that of the back, create little pleats. But now you'll be placing 2 at the same time. That is, one will be shorter and one will be longer. So you now top stitch it at the front part of your dress and repeat this at the other side of your neckline. And also need to add like an interfacing round it, like inside your flounce, for it to stand. Let's say you can use like a peplum stay for it to stand, but if you feel it's going to be bulky, you can use a crinoline to make it stand. Just know that whatever you're going to attach should actually stand like what you have in the picture. So for this part, you need to measure from the center of your waist to that of your zipper allowance, and you'll be cutting out 2 inches. Now whatever you cut will not be the exact measurement. Let's say from half of your waist in front to the back, if you have like 20 inches, please add like extra 10 inches to it. So now at this point, you pick it up. After you're done turning it with your lining, you're going to pick little so of your fabric and you're going to be creating a dart from underneath it. Now you go ahead to do this and you're going to take it all the way to the zipper at the back of this dress, then place this other side just like you have done here. Attach this from the midpoint of your waist, then you're also going to go ahead to attach the other side. So if you don't want to cut this separately, that is the lower part of this dress, go ahead to like create that opening at the center and then attach it to the upper part of your dress.